Welcome to the Money Maven Project podcast. If you're here to learn how to obtain freedom over your time and money through real estate investing, you're in the right place. Create the life you want by living with intention and becoming a maven in mindset, money, and real estate. Now, here's your host, Justin Monk.
Hey, this is Justin Monk with the Money Maven Project podcast. Super excited today. We've got Steve Sims as a guest on the podcast. I got a feeling this is going to be pretty intense. I hope this goes well. Steve, thanks for being on. Why don't you give us a little intro to who you are and then kind of your background, where you're at today?
Wow. So short question. I'll try and keep the answer just as short. Kicked out of school at 15, became a bricklayer, then became a doorman of a nightclub. Started throwing my own little parties because I wanted to hang around with rich people. Fast forward today, I've worked with everyone from the Vatican to Andrea Bocelli, Elon Musk to Sir Elton John. I've been involved and worked with the Grammys, the New York Fashion Week, Formula One. Forbes entrepreneur called me the real life Wizard of Oz. And I spent 25 years in basically spending billionaires' money to give them more interesting cocktail stories. 3 years ago, my book came out called Bluefishing, The Art of Making Things Happen. Didn't expect it to do anything. I just wanted a book to air my grievances and aggravation at how pathetic and shit people were becoming at the value of relationships. And it took off. And now I do speaking, coaching, private events. And so it's just ballooned into this massive behemoth that I have to try and feed every now and then.
I love that. So for the listeners that are new to you, give us an example of something that you do because I saw the website. I mean, there's some faces on there that are pretty big. And you definitely worked with a lot of popular, successful people. So give us an example of what you do for them. And I saw a little tagline on there that you make the impossible possible. So tell us a little bit more about what that means.
Yeah. So people, when people dream, you dream of being naked on a flying carpet, floating over the hilltops of Malibu, and next to Malibu is New York City. Okay. In your dream, that's perfectly acceptable. But when you wake up, you dilute and restrict your dreams. You may have that dream still, but you will translate it to someone else going, oh, I really fancy going to Malibu. Mm-hmm. You'll eliminate all of the flying carpet shit because you settle. You settle for what you think and feel is achievable. Yeah. With me, I don't do that. I literally spend my entire life, whether it be in my concierge service or within my coaching programs, going for stupid, go for the laughable. I want to conceive something that makes you laugh because it's so ridiculous that you laughing at me now fuels me to make it happen. Because they always say they laugh at you before they applaud. So people will come to me and they'd say, hey, I'd like a really cool restaurant in Florence. Where do you suggest, Steve? I'll shut an entire museum down, set up a table of 6 at the feet of Michelangelo's David, and halfway through your meatballs, have Andrea Bocelli to come in and serenade you. You want to learn drums? I'll get the drummer of Guns N' Roses to teach you. You want to learn guitar? I'll get the guitarist of ZZ Top to teach you. Yeah. I'm the guy that basically doesn't settle for what you can achieve or you can dream. I go for stupid. And I now take that into people's businesses to teach them how to articulate their solution, which we can go into, but articulate their message to get the clients they deserve, not the clients they talk to.
Yeah. So as you take this idea, this message into the businesses that you coach, what are the common obstacles that you run into as far as the way they think, the mindsets that they have as business owners? What are the common objections or obstacles that you run into as you're trying to push this idea to them?
Well, the common obstacle is you. Everything that's getting fucked up, going wrong, you think it's going to go right, you don't think it's going. It all starts and stops with you. You're 103% of the problem every single time, especially as an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing that I do is I come along to try and understand where are you, what you're doing, and then the big ugly question that gets everyone uncomfortable: why are you doing this? Because so many people will do a beautiful product, and then from the conception of the product, the next thing they focus on is the payment plan.
Yeah.
Well, any business that's got a payment plan means you're aiming at a clientele that can't afford you. Aim your product and service at a client where money's not the objective, value is.
Yeah.
Then you've never got to worry about bouncing invoices. It's just, I'm amazed at how many people settle on what they can do and settle on who they think they should be talking to.
Yeah.
Mark it up. Always mark it up. If you're selling a boat for $1 million, don't spend any time working out a payment schedule. Just market it to billionaires who can pay for it with a credit card swipe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those are the single two problems. Your preconceived notions of what you can do. You see, it's very hard for me to say to you, hey, go to Florence, close down a museum and get Andrea Bocelli to come in and serenade me while I'm eating me food.
Yeah.
Because you've never been anywhere near that.
No.
And the downside is, in your head, and some of these people listening are going to turn around and go, oh, I could never do that. Well,
Yeah.
the second you say you could never do it, you're right.
Yeah.
Because you've just determined, there's the line, I can't do that. Okay? But you know what happens when you start doing what everyone thinks is ridiculous? Your level of what you go for increases to a new basic, a new bottom line, a new level.
Yeah.
And then nothing isn't achievable. Nothing cannot be achieved and be gained. And so you become empowered. And I go into my coaching clients to get them out of the way of their growth. And then I get them to, as I say, go for stupid. Go for what someone is going to ridicule you. I want you to be the next Elon Musk sat in a bar going, right, boys, I'm going to invent civilian space industry. I'm going to invent a car that doesn't need gas. I'm going to invent a train that will go from LA to Las Vegas on magnets under the ground. All of those ridiculously stupid ideas that end up happening.
Yeah. So how do you get somebody out of their own way? I mean, what are the tactics or the, exercises that you kind of implement to help somebody get out of their way and start thinking bigger and start accepting the possibility of these things that they currently deem impossible?
So growth doesn't come from success. Growth comes from failure in those dark moments. Okay. And the way that I work within all of my coaching, and I'm not for everybody. Let's be completely blunt. I'm sure a lot of people have already realized that from listening to this. But my job is to rattle you around, get you aggravated, get you uncomfortable, and then spit you out impactful. Okay? I want to find out, why are you doing these things? And then getting you to question the decisions and the routines that you commonly make. I want to be asking the why 30,000 times. And usually at the end of the why, it's a case of, well, we've always done that. Well, the world changes.
Yeah.
What works for you today? Now, bear in mind, the change of industry used to be commonly every 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
A new car would come out every 5 to 7 years. You'd look at moving home every 5 to 7 years. You had that kind of, there were these blocks, okay?
Yeah.
School pretty much went on for about 5-year blocks before you moved on to the next period of school. So you've got brainwashed with this kind of, well, every 5 to 7 years, we have to look at changing.
Mm-hmm.
Those 5 to 7 years are now every 6 months.
Yeah.
Today, everything changes. What's really going on today, how you should market, how you should brand, how you should promote, how you should show up. Everything is changing. And COVID came along and threw fuel on that.
Yeah.
COVID has amplified every single one of your weaknesses. If you had a good relationship with your partner, it's got stronger. If you had a bad relationship with your partner, it's got weaker to the point of it breaking up.
Yeah.
Okay. If you had a business that was on rocky ground, it's been fucked now.
Yeah.
Okay. COVID's come along and amplified everything, and rejoice in that, because it saved you 5 years to come to the same decision.
Sped up
and
the
everyone
process.
and everyone keeps going, oh, I can't wait until next year when we're back to normal. You're never going to be back to normal.
No.
And who wants to be? In 2019, would you have replaced 2019 with 2016?
No.
We have got more access to anything we want.
Mm-hmm.
We've been educated. We've become experienced. All of those things we've grown from. 2020 is the year of growth. It's the year when you've been able to identify what you're capable of, what you can handle, because you're not going to know how tough you are stood on the sidelines of a fight. You're going to know how tough you are when you're getting a punch in your head and you go, hang on a minute, that didn't hurt, or better still, I blocked it. I dodged my head.
Yeah.
That's when you know, hang on a minute, I can fight.
Yeah.
And there's a massive difference between being able to fight and wanting to fight.
Yeah.
One is preparation. If you're prepared, you're not scared. And at the moment, a lot of people are running around scared.
Yeah.
So this 2020 has been the year of sharpening your knife. I was chatting with Jay Abraham the other day. He's a neighbor of mine and a friend just down the road. And he said to me, he's an idiot that sharpens his sword on the battlefield. Okay? Don't wait.
Yeah.
Get all this shit together now. You've got a pile of books behind you. I can't actually at the moment see blue fishing on there, which is a major issue. So that needs to be rectified.
I'm in my browser. I'm on Amazon's page with it pulled up.
Yeah.
It's going to be ordered.
All right, Mr. Beardo, don't worry about it. But you've got all of that education around you. Okay, you're doing podcasts where you get to speak to many different people. Yeah. You're stretching yourself. Now's the perfect time, because there's never been a moment ever. And people go, oh, the Black Plague, the Great Depression. These were in countries or in certain times.
Yeah.
They were never global.
Never.
The world wars were never, they were, it was called World War I and World War II, but there were still regions of the planet which weren't affected by it.
Yeah, still not global.
This has been the first time that what happened to the family in Cincinnati happened to the same family in Chiang Mai as to the same family in London, to the same family in Greece. Never before has something united the planet.
Yeah.
And at the same time, hit pause on your business.
Yeah.
Now that you can't go out of business for making a mistake because no one's doing business, now's the time to reflect, edit, tweak, and focus on how it can be better. Now's the time to sharpen your sword just before the vaccine gets released and we get thrown back out into 2021.
It's a great, you got to look at it as an opportunity. Exactly. So
I've got to tell you about this Mexican family, and it's very derogatory. I don't mean it to be, but I want you to get the picture.
Okay.
So I live just outside of Malibu, very pompous. Yeah, very happy about it. And I drive down the 101 and come off to my turn-in to head up into my home.
Yeah.
Every time I come off the turn-in, there's a Mexican family, okay? The kids have shown up. The husband will be on the left-hand side, the wife on the right-hand side, the kids with one of them. Every now and then they switch over. Every time I come off that turn-in, they have been selling flowers. Come Valentine's, they sell these disgusting stuffed bears with hearts. When Kobe Bryant died, they were selling jerseys, okay? When COVID hit, back in March, and it was the first shutdown, 10 days later, they had 2 boards up with face masks. This family I have become in awe of because I've never seen anyone pivot so fast as this family. And I think to myself, hang on a minute, there's a Mexican family, and this is where it's derogatory, probably don't have the conversations me and you have. Probably don't read all the books that we have. Maybe don't even spend time watching YouTubes and TEDx's and hanging around at meetings and spending $100,000 on personal development seminars. They don't do any of that, I assume. Again, call me rude, whatever. But they can see the pivot.
Yeah.
And the people here that are educated, what's their excuse?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. So one thing that is super intriguing to me. So why do you think that so many people have such a struggle with thinking big, and why do we put so many limits on what we think is possible? Like where's that coming from?
Well, I'm 54 years old. For anyone that's watching this and not listening to it on a podcast, I'm incredibly similar to Brad Pitt. So I've aged very, very well.
I can validate that.
You can. But I grew up in a world where I didn't have Instagram to show me how inadequate my life was. Okay. Yeah. I wasn't constantly bombarded with people younger than me, prettier than me, leaning up against cars that they didn't own, telling me to buy that course, and that was the only way I was going to be a millionaire. Yeah. I didn't have any of that noise or distraction, okay? I discovered the watches I wanted to wear by picking them up or buying them, you know? And if I didn't like it, and if I looked, selling it, you know? That's how I learned. I think today we search to laugh at each other. Now, we've got TV shows, Americans' Funniest Videos. We've got, YouTube. We've got stations dedicated to people falling over, hitting themselves with things, doing skateboard tricks and smacking themselves in the head. And we love it. We also love it when successful people do things wrong. Let me ask you this question. Elon Musk worked out that the most expensive part of a rocket was the major fuel cell. And so he worked out if there was a way of him being able to get that back by putting booster rockets on and having it land on a floating platform in the ocean, he saved a considerable amount of money. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Right. And did you ever see the videos of that rocket landing on the platform and then falling over and exploding?
I never saw that.
There were loads of them, and it was like every few days he was testing this. Yeah. And every few days that shut, and they'd be like, oh, it was so close. Oh, but look at it now.
Yeah.
And it blew up. Until one day, it didn't. They never, ever showed it again. Because it doesn't matter how many times you get something wrong. When you get it right, the rest of it was just education. Yeah. All the time it doesn't work, hey, you're falling over, you're failing, you're learning. But when you get it right, it gets rid of everything that came up before.
Yeah.
But today, we're very quick. Do you remember when he released the Tesla truck in Los Angeles?
I heard about that, yeah.
All right. What did you hear about it? What was the news the following day about the truck?
I remember just seeing mixed feelings on how it looked. That's all I remember about it.
Do you remember the window?
Were they like bulletproof or something like that?
Until one of the guys on stage was asked to throw a rock at it, and it went through the window. Do you remember?
Yeah, now I remember. Yeah.
So Elon took what a truck looked like, completely ignored that, and made something that was more akin to come out of Mad Max. Okay?
Yeah.
And all the news was the following day was about how his bulletproof glass wasn't bulletproof.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, if you need a truck with bulletproof glass, you don't need a Tesla truck. You need a fucking different zip code. You've got bigger problems than your windows.
Yeah.
But he had just done something. He had just taken on Ford and GM and Chevy and all of these companies, he took them on toe to toe. He's now worth more than them, worth more than a few of those companies combined.
Yeah.
But the press never revered him for going out on a limb, for trying something different, and for all the technology that was built into this thing. They ridiculed him because his bulletproof glass wasn't bulletproof. Well, guess what? He didn't give a shit because Elon doesn't care about you laughing.
He's good at that.
Yeah, most successful people are. Mm-hmm. Most successful people don't care about the ridicule, okay? They care about it working. He learned where the weakest point of the glass was. He actually able to laminate that now, and it's been shown. He's done it. Of course, it's never made it to the news.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
It's not interesting. If he did it and it failed it again, oh my God, it'd be on 5 o'clock news. It'd be on every half an hour. That billionaire Elon Musk, what an idiot. He can't do bulletproof. That's what it would be. Today, we limit what we go for fear of people laughing at us. Yet the successful people in the world don't care.
Yeah.
And so that's why I openly say, go for stupid. Go for something so ridiculous that people will laugh at you going for it. And the daft thing is, every time you go for something just so stupid and you fall short of it, but achieve that, you've extended your new normal 8,000%.
Yeah.
Now you're up there. There's a reason I can phone up Elton John. There's a reason I can phone up the Vatican. There's a reason I can phone up Richard Branson. And it's name dropping, but the reason is I failed so many times to finally now make that my new normal.
Yeah. How did you, I'm sure you, like you said, you probably failed in getting to this point. How did you push through those failures? How did you get around that?
I didn't. And again, this is the other thing that people kind of like. It's a big differentiator between an entrepreneur and a wantrepreneur. You see, you only fail when you've stopped trying. But how many people do you know that try their own Facebook ads and then they turn around and go, "Oh, it didn't work for me. Facebook is crap."
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Everybody.
Absolutely everybody. Oh, I was going to get into real estate investing. I did a couple of things. I lost my ass. Real estate, it's a scam.
Yeah.
Okay? It didn't work for you. So you're telling me it doesn't work for everyone else?
Yeah.
So the point is, for me, I always looked at everything I did. And still today, you know, I used to do kickboxing. I used to do MMA. I now race motorcycles. When I don't win, which sadly is quite often, when I don't win or I come off or something goes wrong on the bike, I don't go home and cry and go, "Oh my God, I'm useless. I'm terrible. I'm appalling." Because A, I was good enough to be in that race.
Yeah.
I wasn't last. I was in the top 10. Okay. I was actually chasing up on number 8. So I was actually picking up on the order until my tires gave up and slid me off the track.
Mm-hmm.
So not did I fail. Where did it go wrong?
Yeah.
That's the question. Where did it go wrong? It could be tire pressure. It could be I was putting my tires under too much pressure. My brakes were getting tired as it was going on into the race, and I relied on. I should have saved my brakes earlier.
Yeah.
You need to find out where it wrong. You need to investigate where it went wrong, and then the next time, guess what? It doesn't. You see, you very, very seldom trip on the same slab twice.
Right.
What you've got to do is everything that happens to you, and I told you before, your growth doesn't come from success. It comes from making mistakes and empowering you. Where did this go wrong? Oh, that's where it went wrong. Brilliant. Say, for argument's sake, you had a phone call with a billionaire and he was going to do business with you. And then at the end of the phone call, he said no. And you could go back through that phone call, line by line by line, and you could go, I had him here. I had him here. He was interested here. He loved me here. He was actually writing out the date of the check already. Had him here, but lost him there.
Right.
Okay. Just imagine how important would it be to know where you lost him so that the next time you don't have that.
Yeah. No, I love that. I often think about like a newborn or a toddler learning to walk, right? When they are learning to walk and they fall down, we don't look at that as a failure. We don't even call that a failure. I mean, but later on in life, man, if you lose some money in a business or you lose money on your first real estate deal, all of a sudden everybody's like, hey, I told you so. And they're celebrating, like you kind of pointed out, they're celebrating that failure because we like to laugh at people. We like to, we almost take this weird enjoyment out of, okay, yep, he failed. So I'm okay to just sit here on my couch as long as he's failing out there. And that's just messed up. I honestly feel like and I love what you do and I love what your message is, because if we could just, every person that changes their mindset around failure makes themselves better and ultimately makes the world a better place. And that's why I think that mindset and how our perspective on failure, like your analogy with the race, that just the perspective on what that actually means to not win the race and what you can learn from it. If we can get there as a society, man, it's all good. It's such an improvement to what we can accomplish.
It is, but we won't. Because the world is made up predominantly of morons and stupid people with the internet. And the internet is making stupid people stupider and louder. That's the two problems there. But what you can do, and I'm talking to your viewers now and your listeners, continue to do what you're doing. You're only listening to this guy's podcast because you want to be better, okay? If anyone else is around you and in your circle that is negative, is jeering at you, is pointing, is laughing, is ridiculing, get them out of your life. You can literally, I've got there's no charge in it, so I'm not pitching anything, but I've got a Facebook group called An Entrepreneur's Advantage with Steve Sims. This is my private Facebook group. Now, I've got other stuff that you pay for, but I'm not talking about that. This is a free Facebook group where everyone in there are serial failures that look at it to refine them rather than define them. And it's a welcome place for people to go, I can't get this bloody thing to work. Does that work? And for people to go, have you tried this? Oh, thank you. But now it's brilliant. Or, hey, that doesn't work for me, but have you tried this? So I believe there's this old saying that, you are the combination of the 5 people you hang around with. I have a twist on that. I believe you are the room you're in. When you go to a seminar because you want to grow, that room now becomes your allies. When you're in a Facebook group that openly want to creatively disrupt shit, that's your new circle. Those are your new peeps. See, bearing in mind, Harry Potter was a complete and utter freaking weirdo until he went to Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Okay? We're entrepreneurs. We're the weird fuckers. We've got to find our own Hogwarts so we can go, actually, we're normal. We were just playing in the wrong sandpit.
I love that. So if somebody that's just in the mindset of maybe they're in kind of they're down, right? They've maybe they're in a place in life that they're not happy with. They want to make some changes. They've sat down, they're making some goals, setting some goals to change their life. What's your advice to them? What's some tips to them to help them get started and get to where they want to be?
All right. Don't take too many goals. There's a lot of people that spend all their life making these goals and making plans and working out business plans. In fact, here you go. I'm going to give you guys a challenge. I don't have a lot of money in my bank account, but the first person that can send me a business plan, I will send $1 million to, as long as the business plan, send it to you in cash, Bitcoin, however you like, as long as the business plan details how everything's going to be fantastic until March of this year, when an international pandemic comes in, shuts the company down for 9 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
That hasn't been in anyone's business plan. Okay.
No.
So the point is, write down a couple of objections, write down a couple of achievements, write down a couple of goals, and go small, big. Okay. The big one is, I want to own a Rolls Royce Wrath. Okay. The small one is, I want to test drive one. Okay.
Yeah.
Go for small goals. I constantly reward myself with small goals. Okay. I want a new motorcycle. Okay. Which upsets my wife because I've got 17 already. But I will reward myself by buying maybe a motorcycle part or a t-shirt or a book on the bike. So when the bike turns up, I know about it, you know? So I always go small, big, small, big. Also, what you got to do before you've done this, change the room that you hang out in. Now, again, this is where this world of social is good. You know, the world's good. The world of social is good for about 30%, and the rest of it is just horrible and negative. But find Facebook groups that help you communicate like you and talk like you. Find that bunch of weirdos that you align with, that you suddenly become normal, okay? They will be the ones that challenge you. Now, I love challenges, and there's a difference between a juror and a challenger. If you're stood there and you go, hey, I'm going to release a new company that specializes in Japanese motif carpets. Okay? The juror will be the kind of like person that goes, are you stupid? Who wants those? What's a bloody Japanese motif? Who the freaking hell are you? You can't do that. No one's going to. Those are the naysayers. Those are the people that don't want you to succeed for fear that it will expose how inadequate they are to.
Yeah.
All right. A challenger, and I surround myself with challengers, are the people that go, why are you doing that? But more importantly, why do you think you are the person that should be doing this?
Yeah.
Now, you may be able to turn around and go, I've studied Japanese art for the last 20 years of my life. You know, I know nothing about carpets, but I'm going to go and partner with a bloke that specializes in carpets. You don't need to know everything. You need to know a person that does. Okay. So just partner with someone, and you may go, oh, I live in an area where there's a lot of Japanese billionaires around here, you know, and that may be a good angle. Challengers are those people that get you to refine your reason. And I've had so many people turn around to me and go, well, why are you doing that? So why do you think you could be the market leader? Now, those challenges, and I've done this so many times, I've walked into meetings with friends that have challenged me on stuff, walked out either completely 180'd the business model, and in many times actually gone, I shouldn't be doing this. It's not worth my effort. It's not my wheelhouse. It's not my skill level. It seemed a nice dream, but hey, I can make 4 times the amount of money over here than I can if I focus on there. Because entrepreneurs, in fact, this will make you giggle. Do you know the easiest way to make an entrepreneur go bankrupt?
I don't know. What?
You say to them this, I bet you couldn't do this for $10. And an entrepreneur will go, you fucking can. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And they will spend 20 years of their life making it happen, because entrepreneurs, we look at the challenge. We don't look at the $10, and then we look back and we go, oh, crap. You know? Peter Diamandis, I don't know if you've heard about this, but have you heard of the X Prize?
I don't think so.
So the X Prize was a competition put together by Peter Diamandis, and he gave the winner of the first rocket that could go up into space go orbital, come back in, refuel, and go out again. So the first reusable space rocket, he would give the prize of $10 million to. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, when it was actually done, created, the winner was a gentleman by the name of Burt Rutan, and Richard Branson came in, bought the concept off him, and it's now Virgin Galactic.
Yeah.
Okay? But here's the thing. The winner was Burt Rutan. He won $10 million for that reusable space vessel. He alone spent $103 million making that. And he was the winner of about 50 submissions. So think how much money was spent on making this happen. And while you think $10 million is a lot of money, these people were so focused on being number one and winning the first X Prize that they went completely ignorant to how much it was costing them to actually do it.
That's so funny. No, you're exactly right, though. So what is, as people, make these plans and they start to chase their dreams and their goals, what is it that separates those that can make it and that achieve these things from those that don't and give up?
Ignorance.
Okay. Absolute
ignorance. We had a dinner party 2 or 3 years ago, and we had some pretty cool cats at this dinner table, and a friend of mine was part of the Marvel comic world, and with the Marvel movies. And so he started this little game at the table. If you were a superhero, this was when all the Marvel movies were being done. He said, if you were a superhero, what would your superpower be? Now, this was at my house. I was sitting there going, I'm a bricklayer in front of these, some of them were billionaires, influencers. If I named half the table, you'd be like, yeah, I know him. I had him at my dinner party. And I was in awe of this. Yeah. So when this challenge came up about your superpower, I'm thinking, shit, I want to sound really smart here. I want to really think. Now, it started off, luckily, at the arse end of the opposite side. Mm-hmm. So it came up and then came around to me. So I had about 6 people before it got to me. Good. And I'm thinking, like, the power of foresight, the power to see into the future. I wanted all these kind of things, the power to heal. I was trying to think of shit that, let's be serious, as a guy, you want the power of being able to see through ladies' clothing, but no one's going to say that, because it makes them sound stupid. So the power of endless whiskey. But it was getting to me, and I'm thinking up all of these statements to make myself look and appear smarter. And it got to me, and he was opposite me. So he's like, Steve, what would your superpower be? And I'm like, well, and just as I did that, my wife went, he's already got it. And I thought, okay, what is she going to say? And she went, it's the superpower of ignorance. He's ignorant. And I'm sitting there looking at my wife thinking, I'm going to get divorced. That was probably the worst thing you could have said to all of these people that now, thankfully, are my friends. Yeah. And they're looking at me and they're going, oh, shit. What is And she continued. Now, we've been together since we were kids, 16, 17 years old. Yeah. And she turned around and she said, no, you think about it. She said, how many times has he gone in with such power, such passion, ignorant to the point that they could ever refuse him or it could ever go wrong, that they've jumped onto the Sims train and ridden that passion with him? How many times has he got people into the catacombs of the Vatican, closed down museums, had drum lessons with Guns N' Roses, hung out with, all of these people, and you've heard about it and you've gone, how the hell did he manage to do that? And she said, the bottom line of it is, he never ever saw it going wrong. He only ever saw it going right. He was ignorant to every rebuttal, refusal, no. Yeah, he never saw those. He never recognized them. So guess what? They never turned up.
Yeah. I love that.
She went through that, and I was like, all right, I'm staying married.
Yeah.
And so since then, I realized that that you've got to have passion, okay? You've got to have guts. So you've got to fully believe you've got the solution to someone else's problem. You've also got to be completely freaking ignorant to the possibility, the concept that they could decline you or say no.
Yeah.
And the daft thing is, when you are toe to toe, eyeball to eyeball, looking in that person's soul, saying, you need me, and you know why. Now, you may not know why. They may not know why.
Mm-hmm.
But you do that with enough conviction, someone's going to go, yeah, I know why. Yeah, okay, I'm signing up.
Yeah.
And then you've got to validate it, and you've got to show up. Yeah. But that was it. I think it's ignorance.
Yeah, I love that. I don't think I've ever heard that. I know I've never heard that answer to that question. So that is awesome. But it's such a good insight. I appreciate it, man. So talk to us. There was one tagline I saw on the website as I was kind of studying up on what you do. It says, your imperfections are your perfections.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us a little bit more about what you mean by that.
So we don't trust our eyes. We have been, ever since the late 80s and the 90s, with CGI and with movies. You know, we see people get blown out of a building.
Yeah.
And we carry on eating our popcorn.
Yeah.
We see someone leapfrog over the Statue of Liberty, and we go, that could happen, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We also watch magazines, adverts, see YouTube, where you can literally, just from your phone, filter, stretch. You know, if you analyze the woman that you're looking at walking down the beach and realized that they've actually filtered her waist in, stretched her legs, she's actually about 103 pounds and 12 and a half foot tall. You know, they basically morphed reality to the point we don't believe it anymore. Yeah. And if it's a pretty advert, we skip over it because it's no longer relatable. Mm-mm. The most impactful movie of the 20th century was the Blair Witch Project, because it was so imperfect, shaky hand cam, totally relatable, loss of picture, loss of noise, because we all did that.
Yeah.
Okay? It was very relatable. So what I want to do is I want to say that the point is, the accuracy here is how relatable you can be to somebody else. Okay? You're doing this podcast at the moment. Is this being videoed, or is it just on audio?
Yeah. Video, yep. Mm-hmm.
A video.
And audio. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for the audio people, you're in a study. You've got a load of books behind you. You've got a map of the world to your right-hand side. You're in a pale blue T-shirt with a white undershirt. You know, you're normal. And someone can go, well, that could be my living room. Yeah, I've got that book as well. As we already bored you today, you haven't got The Art of Making Things Happen, so serious fuck up there. But apart from that, you know, it's relatable. Now, if you were in a studio, people could go, well, I don't have a beach. You know, like for argument's sake, when Tony Robbins does something, he lives in Palm Beach. Very, 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 very rarely do you ever see him doing videos in his house with the beach in the background. Yeah. If he's doing an interview, he'll do that. But very rarely will he do it, because it's not relatable, because you don't have your ass in a $30 million mansion on Palm Beach.
Right.
Okay? But for the people that do it using these iPhones in their car as they're driving down the road, that's relatable. Why? Because you've got an iPhone, you've got a car, you drive down the road. So if you stop trying to filter the world and do it properly, like when I do videos, I don't rehearse. Okay. And when you watch some of my videos, that's clearly apparent. But here's the thing. If me and you walked into a bar and we started having a conversation and I started to tell you a joke and I fluffed up the middle of the joke and I went to whoa, hang on a minute, Justin, I'm going to step outside the pub. I'm going to walk back in and let's go from there again.
Yeah.
You're now laughing at me like I'm a moron. Yeah. Why? Because we don't edit a conversation, do we?
Right.
We don't do it. Yeah. So when I'm doing one of my my videos or something like that, and I'm saying, hey, we're going to talk about this, and oh Christ, just bit me tongue. Anyway, quickly moving on. The funny thing, how many of us bite our tongue? How many of us fluff our words? How many of us for a second can't remember what we're talking about?
Yeah.
That's relatable. Don't remove that. Do you remember when you saw 9/11?
Yeah.
How many movies have you ever seen? Think of Die Hard, for Christ's sake. You know, how many movies have you seen where buildings are blown up?
They're in all of them.
They're in all of them, okay? Yeah. But nothing could take our eyes away from 9/11 because this was ugly.
Yeah.
This was paper. How many movies have you ever seen where a building's blown up and a desk or paper has fallen from a window?
Yeah, I don't know.
But that's the real stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an office. If you think about it, if you blow an office up, the freaking Xerox machine's going to go flying out the window and loads of papers. But it's never happened in Die Hard. It's all a big ball of flames and it leans over and it crashes into a perfect little mess that just narrowly misses him. 9/11 came along and it gave us dust. It gave us dirt. It gave us stuff we couldn't see because of the dust and the plume of smoke. Okay? It was distorted. It was loud. It was dirty. It was real. And that's what people are trying to avoid. They will literally go down to the beach and they'll take a picture of themselves on the beach. And then what's the next thing they do? They go, oh, hang on a minute. You can't hold the camera. You've got to be up higher so it shoots down my breasts. You know, they try to do something to filter it rather than just keeping it raw and relatable.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. This has been an awesome conversation, Steve. It's been awesome. Talk to us a little bit about what your why is. What's your goal and what's driving you now?
So I run this concierge firm, and at the peak of my business, I had 93 clients. The peak, okay, and all bar about 3 of them were billionaires. So you don't need a lot of billionaires to be working with. So that was at my peak. It usually rolled around about 60. And then I was at a party, and someone said to me, "Hey, you know." Because we were telling stories, and they went, oh, you should do a book. It just so happened that the person was saying that was one of the heads of Simon & Schuster, one of the largest publishing houses in the planet. Again, this is where being in the right room makes all the difference, okay?
Yeah.
I would have made that connection if I'd have been stood in the local McDonald's.
Right.
So, you know, I was in the right room, having the right conversation with the right person. And I said to him, no. Because if I did a book naming the names that I work with, like the names I've mentioned have publicly announced I've worked with them, or there's public pictures of me doing the work with them.
Yeah.
Right? It's no surprise. I worked with Elton John for 8 years. Okay. But I wouldn't talk about a client that maybe owns a thing like a country. You know, I wouldn't mention his name and the kind of things we got up to because he likes it private. There's a lot of people out there that talk about stuff that they've got up to that they don't want you to know that there was a man behind the scenes that made it happen.
Yeah.
Okay. If I declared that, I'd be dead before my old fashioned tonight. So I said to him, can't do it. I like my life. I like my money. I like my business. Not doing it. And they went, okay. And then I did a speech for a gentleman called Joe Polish for his Genius Network. And so the story goes, I've never been able to validate it. Someone in the room worked for Simon Schuster, had heard my name before when it was milled around about me doing this book, and went back to them and went, hey, he did this whole thing on how he makes things happen. Let's change the premise of the book. So they contacted me and they went, hey, we asked you to do a book telling us about all the rich and famous people you dealt with and what you did. Can we change that? You can leave all of those people out there, but can we see you write a book on how a out of school at the age of 15 bricklayer suddenly starts working for these people? How did that happen? And so they paid me very, very, very well. And I thought to myself, I have no liability of selling a single book because I got a massive retainer. And I thought to myself, I want to write the book that will aggravate people and get them to change to create more people in the world that I want to live in. So it was a selfish book. I'd already been paid. When the book came out, believe it or not, and I'm going to suggest you go somewhere in a second, but believe it or not, I didn't think anyone would buy it. I didn't think anyone would believe it. How can this guy that, let's be serious, looks like someone you don't want to bump into at 11 o'clock at night in a back alley.
Right.
How can this guy, be the guy that deals with these people doing these things, some of them that you've heard of? So I didn't even do a website. And we didn't do a website. We didn't have a landing page. We had none of that shit because I thought, I've been paid. We're good.
Yeah.
Let's see how well the book does. Simon Schuster are going to promote it. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
And they said this was about a week before the event, no website. And they went, hey, there's no website for the book. I said, no, what am I supposed to do? I didn't think I don't need to do that. I've got my other business.
Yeah.
And they went, you've really got to do the book. And they said to me, they sent me, now this was the weird thing. They had wired me all of my monies for the book.
Yeah.
And the way the book world works, you get 40%, then you get, I think it's 20, 20, and no, it was 40, 30, 20, and 10 or something like that. So It was still a chunk that I was still owed for 30 days after the release of the book. And I thought to myself, I want to be nice to them because that's still a chunk of change that I'd like. So I went, all right, I'll do a website. And they went, and you've got to do a launch event. And I said, what do you mean a launch event? They said, look, we're going to send you some money, set up a table at Barnes & Noble on a Saturday afternoon and sign books and get photographs of that.
Oh, man.
And I said, okay. And then in the post, which was weird as hell, they sent me a check for $2,500. And I said, what's this for? And they went, buy some champagne, and, set up this table. And I said to them, look, on a Saturday afternoon, you're out walking around the local mall with your kids and you spot me sitting at a table. Why the hell are you going to go, Samantha, he looks interesting. Let's go talk to that guy. No one's going to talk to me. I'm going to sit there drinking all the champagne on my own. So I said, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
So what I did was I actually took over. Now I'm going to give you a link so you can see I'm not bullshitting about this. SteveDSims.com. Scroll down to where it says the word book. It's like the second thing down. So it's really close to the top. Okay?
Okay.
SteveDSims.com and then scroll down to book. Now, what I decided to do was, okay, they want me to do a launch party or they're not going to pay me my final part. So I went down to a whiskey bar that I always used to go down to on Hollywood. And I went, look, I'm going to sign over this $2,500 check to you. I'm going to invite about 30 of my buddies. We're going to get pissed. When the check runs out, turn the lights on and kick us out. And the guy went, yeah, all right. And that's what I did. I literally then, and to make it a book launch, we stuck a bunch of books on the edge of the counter.
Of course. You need that.
I had to do it to be the book launch. So, and I invited a bunch of people: Lewis Howes, Jim Quick, Caleb Maddox, Cole Hatter, a whole bunch of different people, and a lot of them had their own followers or were influencers in their market. Lots of people from Disney, Warner Brothers, because of the studios I worked with.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty powerful crowd.
Yeah.
And Sonia Hatter and Cole and Sonia Hatter, they run the big Vegas event called Thrive. They actually came along with this guy with a camera, a tiny little camera, and they went, "Oh, can we get some B-roll for Cole Hatter's sizzle reel?" And I went, "Yeah, knock yourself out," because Cole wanted to stand next to some of the people that I had, for his role. And I went, "Yeah, that's fine." Yeah. They lied to me. What they did was they went around everyone and interviewed them based on, what do you think of Steve? What do you think of the book and stuff like that? I had no recollection of this. Okay. I had no idea this was going on. So basically, watch that video, because it's a beautiful video for a start. Mm-hmm. But it starts off for the first couple of minutes, everyone's sober and everyone's saying nice things. And then the drink gets in the guts and everyone is being abusive and foul. And if you don't like foul words, don't watch this video.
Yeah.
But it is, I think, the coolest book launch video ever. So when we did it and the company shouted at me because I didn't have a website, I went, all right. So we put up one page going, get your book here. This is what our launch looked like. Put that video up there. And on the first month, we sold like 400 copies. That doesn't make a powerhouse like Simon Schuster happy. Mm-hmm. Second month, another 400. Third month, I think it was 8,500. So it just went, boing, and it took off.
Yeah.
I would put a lot of that down to the fact that video just showed the room that I make for myself, mm-hmm. and just the people that were speaking and saying things about me. So that's what we did. So once that happened, people were like, I love the book. How do I get trained by you? How do I see more videos about you? Mm-hmm. And all of these kind of things. And we launched an Instagram page. Everything's at Steve D. Sims. I'm easier to get than COVID. And they said to me, do you have an Instagram page? Do you have this? And I went, yeah. And we started off, I remember we had like 16 followers on Instagram. Yeah. And I didn't care. I reckon 15 of them were probably lost, and just found me by accident and hit follow. I think we're at like about 52,000 now. Yep. So it's kind of like gone a bit more stupid.
Kind of gone crazy, yeah.
But what happened was people were saying, how do I do this? And for any of you out there that are contemplating releasing a podcast, and you'll know this, releasing a podcast, releasing a course, releasing a book, once you release it, it's no longer yours, but you're now obligated to continue to feed it. Mm-hmm. So it's like someone basically taking your pet rhino out of your house, that's now got huge. My book is sold all over the planet. It's been a bestseller in loads of places. It's in 7 different languages. And I get letters and emails and texts and DMs from all over the planet going, I need a video on this. I need to know how to do this. And now we have the Entrepreneur's Advantage Facebook page, which we mentioned earlier. I throw those videos in there. And I say, hey, you've got a problem with this? Let's do a video on it. You want to know how to do that? Let's focus on that. Mm-hmm. And I will bring all of that in to help everybody. Because the daft thing is, your problem, shockingly, is more than likely someone else's problem.
Oh, you bet. Yeah.
So if you've got a platform and someone says, hey, I need to do this, you go onto the platform and go, hey, someone asked me this question. Should I do a live video on it? And they go, yeah, funny enough, that's my... You suddenly end up with like 70 people going, I've got the exact same problem. Yeah. What a shocker. Mm-hmm. You do a live video and you're now helping people. So without me realizing it, I moved away from the concierge firm because I had done that for 25 years, spending billionaires' money to give them interesting cocktail stories. Now I'm working with entrepreneurs to get them out of the way of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
teach them how to empower, to be ignorant, and how to go for stupid. Far, far, far more rewarding. I get to sleep better at night.
Yeah.
I'm not distracted away from my family, flying around the planet all the time. So that's where my core love is now.
That's awesome. Steve, this has been great. It's been powerful content. I really hope that some of our listeners have taken some notes here and hopefully feel encouraged to take on whatever they're looking to take on. I appreciate it. So you've already mentioned a few places, but let's just make sure they're all mentioned. Where you send them to Instagram? Where else can they find you?
Easiest place is an Entrepreneur's Advantage with Steve Sims.
The Facebook group, right?
Yeah, my Instagram is Steve D. Sims. So you can just, stare at stupid pictures and statements that I put up there. I will warn you, I do not pose in a swimwear. Although maybe I should. It won't be pretty, but maybe I should. I'm on stevedsims.com if you want to look up that book launch video.
Okay, perfect. And we will have a link after I go buy the book. I will have a link in the show notes for where you can pick up the book. I am already super jazzed to listen to it, read it, and check it out. So, Steve, thank you so much for what you do and sharing your message with us today. You have a good night.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Money Maven Project podcast. A true maven shares knowledge with others, so be sure to share this podcast and leave a review. Thanks so much, and until next time, live life with intention.